The world was a graveyard of broken dreams and shattered concrete. Elena Rodriguez dragged herself through the radioactive ruins of what had once been Chicago's bustling downtown, her cybernetic eye flickering with diagnostics that painted a brutal picture of survival. Dust and ash coated everything. The remnants of civilization reduced to a fine, toxic powder that caught in her throat with each labored breath. 12 hours ago, she'd been leading her Special Forces unit in a desperate defensive maneuver. Now she was alone. The Kraxan bombardment had been precise, devastating. A calculated extermination that left no room for mercy. Her unit lay scattered around her, their bodies broken and burned, testament to the alien invaders' overwhelming technological superiority. The cybernetic eye, a prototype developed in the last days before the invasion, was more than just a replacement for her lost organic eye. It was a fragment of humanity's defiance, a piece of technology that represented their last desperate attempt to compete with the technologically advanced Kraxan. As she scanned the devastation, a strange piece of alien communication tech embedded in her system during her last combat encounter began to pulse with an irregular rhythm. Data fragments flickered across her vision. Coordinates, communication signatures, incomplete but present. The Kraxan had made one critical mistake. They believed total destruction meant total victory. But Elena Rodriguez was not dead. And where there was life, there was resistance. She pulled herself up, using a broken piece of rebar as support. Her combat suit, partially melted and torn, still provided minimal protection against the radiation and debris. Blood oozed from multiple wounds, but she'd been trained to ignore pain. Trained to survive. A distant rumble made her freeze. Kraxan scout drones. They were still sweeping the area, hunting for any remaining human resistance, but they would find nothing. Or so they thought. Her communications device, cobbled together from salvaged alien and human tech, crackled to life. A single encrypted message came through. Coordinates for an underground shelter in what was once New York's subway system. Someone else had survived. Someone was organizing. As the first Kraxan drone passed overhead, Elena Rodriguez became a ghost. Not defeated, not broken, but the first spark of humanity's counterattack. The New York underground was a labyrinth of destruction and hope. What had once been a sophisticated subway system was now a maze of collapsed tunnels, makeshift living spaces, and improvised technological workshops. Here, in the heart of human desperation, a resistance was taking shape. Dr. Aisha Khan's workspace was a nightmare of scientific precision and emotional chaos. Holographic displays flickered with alien communication patterns, surrounded by the remnants of her research team. Photographs of colleagues now dead, their bodies casualties of the initial bombardment. Maps of global destruction covered one wall, each marked with potential resistance points. "We're not just surviving," she muttered to herself, adjusting a quantum entanglement detector. "We're going to fight back." Marcus Chen moved between the makeshift workstations, his background as a black market tech dealer proving invaluable. Where others saw junk, he saw potential weapons. Alien drone components were being stripped and repurposed. Communication modules were being reverse-engineered. Elena Rodriguez arrived 3 days after her escape from Chicago, bringing with her the fragment of alien tech embedded in her cybernetic system. The moment she entered the underground base, the dynamic changed. She wasn't just another survivor. She was a tactical nightmare for the Kraxan. "They think they've won," Rodriguez said, examining the maps. "But they don't understand humans. We don't just survive. We adapt." The base itself was a constant game of cat and mouse. Alien drone swarms periodically swept the area, their advanced sensors searching for any sign of human activity. The resistance had developed elaborate shielding techniques, quantum dampeners, thermal camouflage, communication scramblers. Dr. Khan approached Rodriguez, her eyes intense with a mixture of grief and determination. "The bombardment wasn't just destruction," she explained. "It was a massive data collection operation. The Kraxan were studying us, believing they could catalog and eliminate every potential threat. Marcus Chen chuckled darkly. They have no idea what they've started. Beneath them, the foundations of human resistance were being built, not with hope alone, but with technology, strategy, and an unbreakable will to survive. The war was just beginning. Would you like me to continue with Part 3 and subsequent parts in the same detailed manner? Each part will be approximately 900 words long, maintaining the intense narrative style we established in the initial outline. The procedure was madness. Pure, scientific desperation given form. Dr. Aisha Khan sat motionless in a chair constructed from salvaged alien and human technology, electrodes, and quantum entanglement modules creating a grotesque crown around her head. The team watched in horrified silence, Rodriguez's hand unconsciously gripping the handle of her modified plasma rifle, Marcus Chen's fingers dancing nervously across a holographic interface. "If this works," Aisha said, her voice unnervingly calm, "we'll have a direct neural link into the Kraxan communication network." "And if it doesn't?" Rodriguez asked. "Then I'll either be dead or become something else." The quantum interface was a nightmare of theoretical physics and desperate innovation. Developed from fragments of alien technology and human neural mapping, it represented humanity's most audacious attempt to understand the invaders. The Kraxan believed their technological superiority made them invincible. They were wrong. As the first quantum pulses entered Aisha's brain, her body began to convulse. Her muscles spasmed in unnatural patterns, fingers contorting as if trying to write messages in an unknown language. Holographic displays around her flickered alien symbols and mathematical equations dancing in chaotic patterns. Marcus Chen monitored the readings. Neural pathway integration at 47%. 62%. Jesus, it's accelerating. Rodriguez moved closer, her cybernetic eye scanning Aisha's vital signs. Something was happening that went beyond their initial predictions. The quantum network wasn't just a communication system. It was alive, sentient in ways they barely comprehended. Aisha's consciousness fragmented. Part of her existed in the physical room, muscles twitching and body rigid. Another part of her consciousness spread across the alien quantum network, a digital ghost moving through rivers of data, seeing patterns and connections no human had ever witnessed. Memories and information flooded her mind. The history of the Kraxan invasion. Their motivations, their weaknesses, not just tactical information, but cultural, biological, psychological insights that no traditional intelligence gathering could have revealed. When she finally stabilized, Aisha was different. Her eyes, now flecked with strange iridescent patterns, saw the world through a lens that merged human perception with alien quantum understanding. "I know how to beat them," she whispered. The quantum infection was complete. Humanity had just gained its first true weapon against the invaders. The orbital relay hung in space like a metallic tumor, pulsing with alien communication signatures. To the Kraxan, it represented the perfect communication hub, a nexus of their technological superiority that allowed instantaneous data transfer across their invasion fleet. They never saw the attack coming. Rodriguez's team had spent weeks preparing. Using the quantum insights gained from Aisha's neural interface, they had crafted a virus that was part computer code, part quantum entanglement, part pure human innovation. "Target locked," Marcus Chen announced, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "Quantum infiltration protocols ready." Aisha, still recovering from her neural transformation, guided the attack. Her consciousness seemed to exist simultaneously in their underground base and within the alien communication network. "Their system is like a living organism," she muttered. "We're not just attacking. We're infecting." The first wave of the attack was surgical. Quantum tendrils wormed their way through the relay's communication systems, rewriting protocols, creating false pathways, and sowing digital chaos. It wasn't just destruction. It was systematic undermining. Kraxan ships across the solar system suddenly found their communication networks compromised. Tactical data became gibberish. Strategic coordination dissolved into confusion. Navigation systems provided impossible coordinates. For the first time, the technologically superior invaders found themselves blind and disoriented. Rodriguez watched the holographic displays, a grim smile crossing her face. "This is for Chicago," she whispered. The message was clear. Humanity was not just surviving. They were fighting back in ways the Kraxen could never have anticipated. "Would you like me to continue with the subsequent parts in the same detailed manner?" The resistance spread like a quantum wildfire. What began as a small group in the New York underground quickly became a global network of survivors, each settlement a note of defiance against the Kraxen invasion. Marcus Chen's underground connections proved to be the nervous system of this new human resistance. In the ruins of Mumbai, a group of former tech workers repurposed server farms into communication hubs. Survivors in the Amazon rainforest used indigenous knowledge and salvaged alien tech to create undetectable communication networks. Antarctic research stations became fortresses of human innovation, their isolation now a strategic advantage. Rodriguez's team had created more than just a communication network. They had birthed a new form of human collaboration that the hierarchical Kraxen could never understand. Each resistance cell received encrypted data packages developed by Aisha Khan's quantum interface. These weren't just tactical instructions. They were living, adaptive strategies that could reshape themselves based on local conditions. A communication from the New York base in Sao Paulo might look completely different when received in the Canadian wilderness, its quantum encryption ensuring that only the intended recipients could fully decode its meaning. "We're fighting like an ecosystem," Aisha explained to Rodriguez, her body still showing strange quantum interference patterns. "Not a military, not a hierarchy, but a living, adaptive network." Marcus Chen had transformed their underground base into a nerve center of global resistance. Old black market communication skills now served a higher purpose. He could route communication signals through dozens of improvised relay points, making them virtually untraceable. Alien drone sweeps that once would have decimated human communication now found nothing but ghosts and quantum shadows. The first major test came when a Kraxen ground assault targeted a survivor settlement in what was once Central Europe. Instead of a traditional military response, the resistance responded with something entirely unexpected. As Kraxen battle mechs approached the settlement, they found their targeting systems compromised. Holographic decoys appeared everywhere, while the actual survivors had already evacuated through underground tunnels. Communication between alien units became garbled. Some reported enemy contacts in locations that didn't exist, while others found their weapon systems mysteriously deactivating. It wasn't just technological warfare. It was psychological warfare of the most insidious kind. Rodriguez watched the tactical displays, seeing how each resistance cell adapted in real time. A group in Southeast Asia would develop a communication technique, and within hours, survivors in South America would modify and improve upon it. The Kraxen's rigid technological superiority was being undermined by human creativity. "They think in straight lines," Aisha said, watching the quantum data flows. "We think in networks, in possibilities." The global uprising was more than a resistance. It was the birth of a new human civilization, forged in the crucible of invasion and survival. Each communication, each small act of defiance, was a quantum entanglement of human will. The Kraxen had believed they were exterminating humanity. Instead, they were midwifing its most profound transformation. Psychological warfare became humanity's most potent weapon. Dr. Aisha Khan's quantum insights had revealed something profound about the Kraxen. Their technologically advanced civilization was built on a rigid hierarchical structure that valued absolute certainty and predictability. By understanding the intricate communication patterns of the alien species, the resistance could now target the very foundations of their social structure. Marcus Chen developed what he called quantum disinformation protocols, communication packages designed to exploit the fundamental weaknesses in Kraxen communication networks. These weren't just false messages, but carefully crafted information constructs that would propagate through the alien communication systems like a virus of doubt. Rodriguez oversaw the implementation, her cybernetic eye analyzing potential psychological attack vectors. Each disinformation package was a work of strategic art, messages that would create microscopic fractures in the Kraxen's perfect technological hierarchy. One protocol might suggest that a specific Kraxen commander had been compromised. Another would introduce subtle mathematical inconsistencies in navigational data. Each small disruption was designed to create cascading uncertainty. The effects were immediate and devastating. Kraxen ships began to experience communication breakdowns. Command structures started to fragment. Units that had previously moved with perfect synchronization now hesitated, questioned, second-guessed. "We're not just fighting them," Aisha explained. "We're making them fight themselves." The psychological warfare went beyond simple misinformation. The resistance began to understand and exploit the fundamental difference between human and Kraxen communication. Where the Kraxen valued absolute certainty, humans thrived in ambiguity. Each message was a quantum puzzle, designed to create maximum psychological disruption. Rodriguez watched as entire Kraxen battle groups began to turn on each other, their perfect unity fracturing under the weight of manufactured mistrust. It was warfare unlike anything in human or alien history, an attack that targeted not bodies or systems, but fundamental beliefs. The resistance had become something more than a military operation. It was a living, adaptive organism of human will and innovation. Would you like me to continue with Part 7 in the same detailed manner? The final assault was a symphony of human resilience. Survivors from every continent converged in what was once the Mediterranean basin, a region now transformed into a battlefield that defied conventional understanding. Rodriguez's strike team represented humanity's most extraordinary adaptation. Warriors who were part soldier, part scientist, part quantum strategist. Camille Okoye, a Nigerian quantum engineer, had developed adaptive camouflage technology that could shift between physical and electromagnetic spectrums. Sarah Chen, a Canadian former surgical AI specialist, could interface with salvaged alien technology in ways that made traditional human-machine interactions look primitive. Rafael Gonzalez, an Argentinian former special forces operator, brought traditional tactical knowledge merged with Aisha Khan's quantum communication insights. The Kraxen never stood a chance. Their invasion had been predicated on overwhelming technological superiority and a belief in their own invincibility. They had cataloged human capabilities, developed strategies to neutralize human resistance, but they had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of human adaptation. Humanity wasn't a fixed target. It was a living, evolving system. As the first Kraxen battle groups approached, they encountered something entirely unexpected. Traditional sensor arrays showed nothing. Tactical prediction models collapsed. What appeared to be a simple defensive position was actually a quantum-entangled network of resistance fighters who could communicate and coordinate faster than any centralized command structure. Camille's adaptive camouflage made entire units virtually invisible. One moment, a Kraxen battle mech would have a clear targeting solution. The next, it would be firing at nothing, or worse, at its own support units. Sarah's technological interfaces turned the invaders' own communication networks into weapons of mass confusion. Rodriguez moved like a quantum ghost, her cybernetic systems working in perfect harmony with the Resistance's adaptive network. She wasn't just commanding a battle. She was part of a living, breathing tactical organism that could reshape itself instantaneously. They think in lines. She communicated to her team through their quantum neural link. We think in networks. Aisha Khan's consciousness, now partially integrated with the Resistance's communication systems, provided real-time tactical analysis that defied traditional military understanding. It wasn't just predictive. It was generative. The Resistance could literally create tactical opportunities that didn't exist moments before. The Kraxen's rigid hierarchical structure became their greatest weakness. Each unexpected human adaptation caused microscopic failures in their communication and tactical systems. A unit that hesitated for a millisecond was a unit that was already defeated. Entire Kraxan battle groups found themselves fighting not just human resistance, but the very technological systems they had believed made them invincible. Weapon systems turned against their operators. Communication networks became labyrinths of misinformation and quantum uncertainty. Rafael Gonzalez led a ground assault that was part military operation, part quantum dance. Human fighters moved with an unpredictability that defied traditional combat modeling. They were everywhere and nowhere, transforming the battlefield into a living, breathing system of resistance. As the battle reached its crescendo, it became clear this was more than a military conflict. This was a fundamental challenge to the Kraxans' understanding of technological superiority. Humanity wasn't trying to win a war. It was redefining the very concept of warfare. The Mediterranean basin became a crucible of human potential. Every destroyed Kraxan unit, every disabled battle mech, was a testament to human innovation, adaptability, and an unbreakable spirit of resistance. They were not just fighting. They were evolving. The captured Kraxan command ship hung in orbit like a wounded leviathan, its quantum systems slowly being dismantled and understood by humanity's most brilliant minds. Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her cybernetic eye interfacing directly with the alien technology, parsing layers of information that would have been incomprehensible mere months ago. Aisha Khan's quantum-transformed consciousness moved through the ship's systems like a living algorithm, revealing secrets the Kraxan had never intended to be discovered. Marcus Chen worked alongside her, his black market tech skills now elevated to a form of technological archaeology that was rewriting humanity's understanding of the universe. This was more than a victory. It was a transformation. The message they would broadcast to the entire Kraxan Empire was carefully constructed, not just a communication, but a quantum-encoded revelation that would challenge everything the aliens understood about technological superiority and sentient life. "We are not a species to be conquered," Rodriguez dictated, her words translating through multiple quantum communication layers. "We are a civilization that defines itself through adaptation, through the ability to transform in the face of extinction." The message was a masterpiece of technological and psychological warfare. Embedded within its quantum structure were layers of information that would gradually unfold, showing the Kraxan not just humanity's resistance, but the fundamental nature of human potential. Fragments of their invasion, their tactical mistakes, their fundamental misunderstandings were laid bare. But more than that, the message demonstrated how every attempt to destroy humanity had only made them stronger, more adaptable, more unified. In orbit, the captured command ship became a symbol, not of military conquest, but of humanity's extraordinary capacity for innovation and survival. The global cooperation that emerged during the resistance was already reshaping human civilization. Survivors from every continent, every culture, every background had been forged into something new. The old divisions of nationality, race, economic status had been burned away in the crucible of invasion and resistance. Technological breakthroughs developed in desperate resistance cells were now being shared globally. Quantum communication techniques developed in underground bases were revolutionizing human understanding of information and connectivity. The adaptive technologies created to survive the Kraxan invasion were already showing potential applications that would transform human society. Rodriguez looked out at the stars, her cybernetic eye scanning vast distances. The Kraxan retreat was more than a military withdrawal. It was an acknowledgement that they had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of human potential. Humanity had not just survived, it had evolved.